Alrighty, Pretender here, back with another Honkai startup guide, and today I'm going to be showing you all the materials you will need to pre-farm for the upcoming 5-star character Aventurine. There is a little under 3 weeks until the boy Aventurine will finally be released, and so a lot of people can now pre-farm him. With the 2.1 update, everything you can get for him is now farmable. And so in this video, I'm going to show you everything you need and how much you need in order to max him out day 1. Before I get into the video, guys, to drop a sub, turn on the bell icon, like the video for more videos like this, along with other types of Star Rail news, guides, all that kind of stuff. Let's get straight into the video. So starting off with the more common materials you need that is been farmable since 2.0 and when Pentacon came out, will be these materials right here. So this one, you practically will need a total of 56 of these green ones, so the lowest rarity, 71 of the blue ones, so the middle rarity, and 73 of the purple ones for the highest rarity. Also, this is accounting for the fact of getting them up to max level and getting him up to max traces. So that amount accounts for all those. You can get these by doing them from assignments, or you can go around and doing the Equilibrium Memory Zone meme. So you can just go ahead and fight these things and get the materials. Other than that, you can get these ones from Ember's Exchange. You can get them from assignment rewards by just having it set, so definitely do that if you haven't already. To knock it quickly out of the way, otherwise, for books, you do need about 290 purple books pretty much to max out Aventurine from level 1 to level 80. And for total amount of credits you do need is about 3.8 million. Again, this accounts for leveling him up all the way and also getting all his traces to max. Just like every other character, you will need 8 of Tracks of Destiny, so make sure you have 8 to max out his traces. For the materials you do need for the Stagnant Shadow to ascend him will be from the Shape of Puppetry. You will need a total of 65 of this in order to get him from level 1 to 80. So if you are at max level or max equilibrium so that you can do it at the highest difficulty, you will need to do a total of 13 runs to have 65 of these. So definitely make sure you do have enough of these. And once you do, you can get them up to 80 max with these ones. For the Calyx materials, you will need the new one from Pentacon for the preservation ones. So the way you unlock this is by completing the new quest that just came out with the 2.1 update. If you do not beat the quest, you will not have access to this, so make sure you do clear it so you're able to farm these. For the lowest rarity, you need 18 of these. For the mid rarity, you need 69. And for the highest rarity, you do need 139. I myself am lacking, and I'm going to be farming this starting from today. So make sure you do this again. You need to beat the new story quest to have it unlocked. 18, 69, 139. For his weekly materials, he'll be using the one from the bug. He will need a total of 12 of these, just like most characters. So make sure you have 12 of these in order to get his traces to max. Now, as for the relics, this definitely does depend on what you want to do. So for the most part, the most common build will be running 2-piece of the Knight of Purity Palace with either 2-piece of the follow-up set or 2-piece of the imaginary set. I say this will be the most common because it is the best build you can do, as building him as a sub sustain and sub DPS at the same time is the best way you can build them. Because if you give him too much defense, he just sustain, you're missing out free damage, and for the most part, if you build him properly as a semi DPS sustain, for the most part you will be able to get the most the shield would provide normally, while also getting some extra damage on top. Another thing you can actually do for overall better damage, but I would only recommend this if you are getting his Light Cone or his E2, is running 2-piece of the Knight of Purity Palace with the 2-piece debuff set. This will be the most damage you can get out of, and if you are getting him with the Light Cone and you also want to build him full DPS, you can actually go ahead and farm 4-piece of the Pioneers. I say with the Light Cone or with the E2 because with E0 S0, the only debuff you can get is from his ultimate. With his Light Cone, now his follow-up attack will be able to apply a debuff, and with the E2, his basic attack will be able to apply a debuff. So if you do have E2 S1, you are able to get all 3 debuffs on just by him alone. But besides that, you want to make sure you have at least E0 S1 or E2 S0 just before you do the 4-piece. Otherwise, for the most part, you can focus on 2-piece, and for any of those, again, this will be the core for most people, the Knight of the Purity Palace. You have 2-piece of that, and then 2-piece imaginary, or 2-piece follow-up, whichever one you prefer, or which one you have better pieces of, or which one you want to do. And you can also do 2-piece debuff. Again, with Light Cone or E2, you can do 4-piece if you want to build them as more of a DPS, which is actually very viable, so don't think it's not viable, it's very viable. Now, as for the main sets you want to go for these relics, it really does actually depend on what you want to do. For the most part, the best for the DPS layout would be rocking crit damage, speed, imaginary damage, and defense. To show you what I mean body would be crit damage, you would have speed boots, imaginary damage, and defense, but you would pretty much adjust these to be defense so you can hit the 4,000 defense threshold. You want to make sure he does have 4,000 defense so he gets the full bonus from his bonus trace, giving up to 48% crit rate. My relics are also kind of struggling, so I still need to keep farming more relics. So pretty much you can swap the orb for defense, or you can also swap the crit damage for defense as well. Because crit damage and the defense difference aren't too different. Same with the imaginary damage and defense. The differences aren't too massive, so you can safely sub these two until you are able to get to the defense threshold. For the substats, obviously more defense will be nice just so it's easier to hit it. Getting some speed will be really good, and crit damage will also be really nice. So for the most part, you want to focus on getting crit damage, speed, and defense substats. Alright, that's pretty much it. But for a recap, pretty much you will need to farm these common materials. Again, you can only farm them in Penacony. You can get them from assignments, and you can also exchange them for embers. Mainly, we'll be farming them from the memory zone meme drop. Higher level, obviously the better. Again, you will need a total of 56 of these ones, 71 of these ones, and 73 of these ones. For books to level up a character to max, you will need about 290. You will also need 8 of these tracks of destiny in order to get the traces up as best as you can. For the amount of credits you need, you'll need about 3.8 million, closer to 3.9 million. For the traces, you will need to beat the new quest so you're able to farm the new preservation ones. Again, once you beat the quest, you will be able to go to this one. You will need a total of 18 of these low rarity ones, you will need a total of 69 of the blue ones, and you will need 139 of the purple ones. If you haven't farmed, which, unless you exchange a bunch of materials, you'll probably have next to none of these, and since we only have a little less than 3 weeks left, you definitely want to hop on this as soon as possible. For the Stagnant Shadow, you can get the ones from the Shape of Puppetry. Once you've farmed that, you need a total of 65 of them to get them up to max level. And for the weekly material, you'll need it from the Bug Weekly Boss, which you will need a total of 12 of. For the relics, once again, mainly we'll be rocking 2 pieces of Knight of Purity Palace. Then you can choose to do either 2-piece follow-up set or 2-piece imaginary set. If you do have his light cone or you're going for E2, you can do 2-piece of Pioneers with 2-piece Purity Palace. Or if you do want to build him as a DPS, and again, if you are getting his light cone or E2 or both, you can do 4-piece Pioneers to get the best damage value out of your Aventurine. Once again, for the baseline of what you want in the main sets would be crit damage, speed, imaginary damage, and defense percent. And then you would take, if you don't have enough to get enough defense, so if you don't have 4,000 defense, you would sub the orb or the chest piece for a defense percent main stat. You can do one or both, whatever you need, but the substats mainly focus on crit damage, speed, and other defense percent. Don't really worry about attack percent because he doesn't need it. Getting some crit rate is also going to be nice because he gets up to 48%, but obviously you're going to want to get him to have more just so he can crit more often. He himself doesn't give any crit rate besides that trace, so you get a whopping 48%, so getting some rolls would be really helpful, just so he can crit more. So yeah, that has been the guide. Let me know if you guys will be pre-farming for Aventurine, because personally, I have been farming his relics. As you see, they're not the greatest, but they do work. Let me know what your progress is on pre-farming him if you are, because again, personally, I still need to get the traces up, because obviously, a good relics but bad traces won't do me too good, so having the relics done while having max traces will be carrying a lot more. So I'm gonna definitely get on farming the traces now. And yep, let me know if you guys found the video helpful, and peace out.